Alright guys, so now I'm going to show you guys how to tie the buckaroo square knot. Some people call it the mustache knot, some people just call it the square knot. I'll be calling it the buckaroo square knot throughout this video. This one's a little bit more complicated, but once you get it, it looks really, really cool. And I've gotten to the point now where I can do it without looking. So it takes some practice, but once you get it, it looks really cool and it's really worth it. So for this one, I'm going to use a little bit bigger of a wild rag. Personal preference, I like how it looks on a bigger wild rag. That being said, you can still do this knot on any size wild rag just as long as you have enough fabric to get it done. So if you have a smaller wild rag than this one here is a 40 by 40. If you have a smaller one by this one, by all means go ahead and try this knot. If it doesn't work, you might need a little bit bigger of a one, but you can still try it. So this is how it's going to come, folded up nice like this. Same as before, you're going to take all your fabric out. This one's a little bit bigger. It'll look like a big tablecloth. Alright, first step always is to put our wild rag into a triangle. So we're going to get those ends nice and matched up. We're going to pull it so that our point is pointed down and our hands are going to be on our tails. So remember, like the first video, I'm going to refer to these where my hands are as the tails. Alright, so this one's a little bit bigger as you can see, so bear with me, it takes a little bit longer. So first step is always we're going to put it on our chest like this, bring our tails around the back, they're going to cross back behind us, and we're going to pull forward. I like to do a little bit of back and forth action just to make sure. Ladies, this is where we take our hair out. Then I like to make sure that my ends are looking as good down there as they can be. Like I said before, I like to wear mine a little bit looser, just personal preference. Some people like it tighter, some people like it looser, just kind of however you like to wear your wild rag. So I'm going to pull this one out a little bit more. Get these guys matched up. Alright, so here we go. We're going to start, once again, both of our hands are going to be on our tails like this. I'm going to take this one nice and slow, but first I'm going to show you guys what it looks like finished. I'll talk you through it, then I'll go back and do some steps. So what I'm going to do is on my right hand, I'm going to take my index finger, I'm going to wrap around once so I have a little wrap like this. I'm going to loosen this first loop on my finger. My left hand, my left tail is going to go through that loop on my finger. Get that through there. I'm going to stay over here on top of my right hand. Then from here, my left hand is going to come underneath my right hand. Grab this tail, bring it back around so we're on the first side. Then from here, this is the tricky part. I'm going to go over the top of my first loop and through the loop that's still on my finger. At this point, I can take all my fingers out. I'm going to pull down on that knot. We're going to get a little something that looks like this. So this is going to be what I refer to as your buckaroo square knot. So as you can see, there's kind of a lot of steps. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to do it a few times. We're going to take it slow so that way we can all get it. Alright, so back to square one. We're going to have our hands on our tails. I'm going to come a little bit closer so you guys can see. Hands on our tails like this. I'm going to take my right index finger. I'm going to take my tail and I'm going to wrap it away from me. So it's going to look like this. And so see how I have one loop here, another loop here. So you're going to have two loops on your finger. I always like to pull this first loop up on my finger a little bit just to give myself a little bit extra room. Alright, moving back to our left tail. Our left tail, the end of it is going to go through this first loop, the loop that we just made a little bit bigger. Left tail is going to go through the first loop. Going to stay on top of our hand. So it's going to look like this. Our hand's going to look like this. This tail can be let go from here. I'm going to take my left hand and it's going to come underneath, grab my tail, come underneath, so I look like this. So my left tail is back in my left hand, back on the left side of my body. So we've just looped it through, come around underneath, and now we're here. This part gets a little tricky, so pay close attention here. My left tail is going to come over the top of my first loop, come over the top of my first loop, and through the loop that's still on my finger. Over the top of the first loop, through the loop that's still on my finger. From here you can see that my knot is finished. All my hands are out of my knot. In order to adjust it, you might think that you need to pull sideways. That actually makes it look a little bit wonky. So when you're adjusting this one, you're going to want to pull down. See how it makes it a little bit tighter? And you can kind of go in there. Sometimes I like mine to look a little bit looser. I think they look kind of cool like that. So you can kind of just adjust it however you want, and you have your square knot. Alright, we're going to do it one more time. One more time. Alright, so here we are. Right hand, right index finger. We're going to loop away from me. So we have 2 loops. I'm going to loosen this first loop here so that I can get my tail through. I'm going to come back here with my left tail. It's going to go through this first loop, cross over my hand, and now I can let it go. From here, my left hand is going to come back around underneath this hand, underneath the hand that has all of my wild rag in it right now. Left hand is going to come underneath, grab this tail, come under my hand, so we're back over here on the left side. So again, left hand is going to come under my hand, back over here, so we're back on the left side. From here, this part gets a little tricky. Your left tail and your left hand is going to go over the top of this loop that you've already made and through the loop that's on your finger. From here, once that's through, all of your hands can be out of your knot. If it looks like this, that's okay because we're going to adjust it. Remember, you don't want to pull side to side. You're going to want to pull your tails down. That way it makes it look a little bit more like a square knot. And so if you guys saw my Facebook post, you can actually do this knot on a horse's tail. What I always do is I like to do this knot and throw a rubber band in there and you're good to go. It'll stay for a while, it'll stay as long as you want, and it's pretty easy, pretty fast, and look at that. I just think that looks really cool. So once again, this is called the Buckaroo square knot. Personally, this wild rag here is a 40 by 40. Like I said before, I kind of like how this looks just because it's a little bit more oversized. It has a lot more, just kind of oomph to it. But now I'm going to show you guys that knot on the wild rag that we use for our right over left, left over right knot, so that you can see that we can still do it on smaller wild rags. So this one here is, once again, a 36 by 36. The red one that I just used was a 40 by 40. Like I said before, it's just kind of personal preference how it looks and to make sure that you have enough room to get it done. So I'm going to do this one just kind of fast so that you guys can see that you can still do it. So here I come again, making my loops. I'm going to go through my first loop, come around, back underneath, over the top, and through that second loop that's still on my finger. Adjust by pulling down. So this one, you can see this knot got a little tighter, makes it a little smaller, so you can still do this knot on the smaller wild rags. Personally, I just like how it looks on the bigger ones, but like I said, this one is still totally doable on this size and smaller and bigger, however you would like. So that is your Buckaroo square knot, your mustache knot, whatever you want to call it. And I hope you guys learned something. If you have any questions, make sure to comment or message me. And good luck. I hope to see some cool knots once you guys are done watching this video.